to get going, just kind of go through the goals of the day. So really, we're going to hopefully have by the end a good understanding of the design process. Okay. We're going to have some really work. This is a workshop. So one of the first things you got to do is you got to take your tie off. Now those of you have ties, roll up your sleeves, because hopefully this will have more of a workshop flavor to it rather than just lectures. So we're going to have a lot of activities. So then it's a unique networking opportunity. If you look at the list of participants, they're from all over the world. And during the breaks, take some chances to meet everybody, interact, because really that's how a lot of innovation and development works, is through your networks that you've developed. And hopefully you'll enjoy the experience today as well. If we look at the basic process of the way I look at it, how the steps in development, if we look at a year ago, you have a cocktail napkin or some clinician with a non-disclosure. He's doing some drawing. There's some discussion of IP already. Then they'll develop some fancy animations or visualizations. They'll do a prototype development, and we'll do some basic prototyping today. Eventually you do testing. Of course, we're not going to get to that today, but you would design that to see if it's durable, if it does what you want it to do. And then eventually, when you get a good prototype that works, you'll go into your preclinical, your animal testing, and your clinical studies, and you want to freeze it at a certain point before you're ready for market release. And one of the things you got to really consider is you never know when and where and how a great new idea will hit you. I actually enjoy biking and running, and some of my best thought processes are when I'm alone, running or biking. And the only thing is I got to remember to come back and write it down or sketch it afterwards. And you should also just make sure that you do this. Your sketch doesn't have to be a Da Vinci. If you've ever looked at his lab notebooks, these are amazing. But it'd be more of a simple sketch that you would do. And maybe some notes on how the thing is supposed to work. And then you can have this witnessed, and then maybe explain it to somebody else. And if they understand it, they'll sign off on it as well. But this is a good practice to get into. I still haven't gotten to the iPad stage where I can draw well on it, but I can grab a piece of paper and a pen quicker and get things written down. And we'll go through lab notebooks later today as well. And then once you get those ideas, now with computers and everything, people are coming up with fancy animations. So this is an animation out of our new product design and development class that we did. And a group of students were tasked to come up a better way to extend and retract a helix of a lead. So they looked at some mechanisms, they drew the animations, and it was a great way to really convey their concepts to clinicians to be able to do a voice of customer. And so you kind of put all these things together, and this is one of the stages that quickly, within 10 seconds or so, I showed you my idea. We have to remember we got to think about IP ownership. You have to have clear agreements, workable arrangements, and I like Chaim's response of 10 of 100% is 10. Don't be too, I'd rather see the thing developed. My personally thing is I'd like to have my ideas get out there and develop into devices, and not so worried about the money later. And then you want to include the proper personnel, and you do all this early. There's AVAMED codes, of course, ethics and personal integrity is one of the key things for all device designers to consider. And then last thing we're going to do before we move on to Professor Durfee, we are sitting at tables, and I would like everybody to just take 2 minutes as Will comes up here, introduce yourselves, describe where you're from, kind of what your career goals are, and maybe say something unique about yourself, your family, or hobbies. And so one of the things unique about me is in 2 weeks, I'll be going out in northern Minnesota, and we'll be doing hibernation research on black bears. We actually hike to the dens with all our equipment. We've done cardiac studies on them with echo units, 12-lead EKGs, implantable reveal devices at the bear den. We anesthetize them, pull them out, do all our studies, stuff them back in, and we'll visit them in a year or 6 months later. So something unique. So hopefully everybody else can share something like that, and we'll move forward. But looking forward to a great day, and I'm glad that you're all here.